Everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar this morning. We're going to be focusing on getting the most out of your Webex service and looking at some of the basic functionality, moving right the way through to the AI brilliance that's available in the system. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Richard Scott. I'm a director at Start Communications, and alongside me this morning, I have my colleague Ollie Newby from Gamma. Firstly, we'll be looking at the Webex basics and fundamentals, so things like productivity, how to improve the way you work on a day-to-day basis. We'll then move on to collaborating and connecting with your clients, connecting with your customers, connecting with your partners. How to host seamless meetings will follow, and that will look at a raft of different functionality within meetings. We'll then move on to some of the AI functionality within the Webex platform that allows you to boost productivity and efficiency. And throughout, please feel free to ask questions. We'll pick them up at the end, and we'll go through as many as we can and answer them as detailed as we can for you. Okay, Ollie, I'm going to hand over to you, and you're going to kick off the presentation this morning.
Yeah, lovely. Cheers, Richard, and good morning, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for taking the time out of your day. So, yeah, as Richard mentioned, my name is Ollie. I am one of the UCAS and hosted phone specialists here at Gamma. My job today is to hopefully enlighten you of the capabilities of the phone application that you guys are using called Webex, and teach you a few things that maybe can be brought into your day-to-day work and enhancement. So the first thing I wanted to do is just highlight how you can access Webex, how you can use that on a multitude of different devices. Most of you might already be using it on your PC, on your Mac itself, using it to make and take calls from kind of those applications. What you might not know, and to kind of give you some information, you can also access that on your mobile. So whether you've got iOS or Android phone, you can download the Webex app, use the same credentials to log in and start taking calls through your mobile device. And then you also have that capability to do it on a specific tablet application as well. With those devices, like I say, no activation needed from Richard and the amazing team at Start Communications. You just download the application, log in with the same credentials, and away you go, giving you that mobility and that ability to take and make calls from wherever you are. What you also get, so all of you will probably be using Webex for calling capabilities, the ability to make and take calls. For those who are unaware, or depending on what license level you've got, you've also got the capability of messaging. So starting to collaborate, chat internally, share files, have conversations, have group projects, etc. And again, that comes across all of those applications. You're not limited to the desktop application. You can do that seamlessly with the mobile app, with the tablet app itself. And you also get that capability of meetings. So again, based on your license type and your license option, you have the functionality to do that with the tablet, with the mobile as well. Now, there are 4 different licenses available with Webex. Majority of you will probably be utilizing Webex Softphone. We then have something called Webex Basic, which is by far, far away from Basic, and I'll go into some of the features in a moment. We then have Webex Standard, so we're bringing kind of capabilities up through the product set. And then we have Webex Premium. Now, with those license types, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of capabilities. But just to highlight some of the kind of the core and the call-out features, so with Webex Softphone, you have voice calling, that's both internal and external. But from an internal perspective as well, you have video calling. So rather than just calling your colleagues internally on voice calls, you can speak to them with a nice video call as well. You can control your horizon call settings, so your call forwarding, your do not disturb, etc. all can be controlled within the application. While you're having internal meetings or internal calls, you have that capability to share your screen as well. So if you want to share a document, share a presentation, you have that capability with the Softphone. And again, that's across those different devices. You also then have user presence. So understanding what my colleagues are up to. Are they busy? Are they on the phone? Are they on do not disturb? Help you improve that call handling capabilities. So Richard calls in, I need to transfer that call over to one of his colleagues or one of my colleagues. I know that they are busy, and I can take a message and get them to call them back. So some nice capabilities, and we'll touch on some of those through today's session. We then have Webex Basic. So Webex Basic introduces messaging. Messaging with something we call federation. What that means is you can actually talk to other Webex users, whether they're in your business or not in your business. So again, the ability to collaborate and rather than just coexisting online. We also introduce meetings with 100 capacity. Now that meetings brings virtual backgrounds, it brings upscaling of video quality, gestures, raising your hand, chat within those meetings, so you can start to engage internally and also externally with your clients, with your customer base. Now, I appreciate a lot of people and a lot of you on this call might already be doing that with Teams. Absolutely fine. We can talk about how we can integrate with Teams. But then what we might also do is talk about how bringing it into a single pane of glass can be more effective for you and your workers. Webex Basic also introduces spaces, so that's group chats. So the ability to collaborate on projects, start to coexist and collaborate within teams and start to pin notifications, set up alerts and share files again, all within a single application. And within those chat, we can file share if you want to live your life by GIFs and send in animated pictures and emojis. Absolutely, it has that capability of the modern age. We then look at Webex standards. So this is where we introduce AI, a bit of a topic on today, and we're focused on some of these features. The ability to transcribe your meetings and the conversations you're having, the ability to start having action items and meeting notes. We've also then got the likes of personal insights to see where you're spending your time through the course of the day. Are you being proactive on meetings, on messaging, etc.? It starts to highlight where you're spending that time. And then Webex Standard also has Slido integration. Now, Slido is an engagement tool. So if you are hosting online meetings on applications like Webex, like Teams, Slido comes in as a feature on Webex Standard, where you can have Q&A, you can have polls, you can have word cloud. So again, starting to engage with your team, with your customers. Now that feature alone, if you were to go and buy Slido externally and use it as an engagement tool, that would cost you around £150, 150 per user per year. It's included in that license across the user base as well. And then we top out a Webex Premium. This is where we introduce AI into messaging, and we're focused on some of those parts. We also then have the capability to host up to 1,000 participants in those meetings. So if you are doing mass webinars and you want to include lots of people, you have that ability to there. We also then bring cloud meeting recording control, whereas the lower license of Webex Standard is local meetings. But lots of different capabilities, lots of different functionality, and as we go through today's session, we'll bring some of those features to life to give you an opportunity of, like I say, how we can make the most of what you've already got, but also are there options and are there capabilities here which could help in your day-to-day working. And again, Richard's going to highlight how himself and the team at Start Communications have benefited from some of these features internally. Now, all of those features, and we've got different features across different license sets itself, but we've also got some really great capabilities across all of those. So no matter what license type you're on, you can benefit from Microsoft 365 integration itself. Now that comes across a multitude of different capabilities, from calendar integration, Outlook integration. You can embed into Office applications itself. You can integrate your OneDrive and SharePoint for meetings and messaging functionality. But as we see here for that calendar integration, if you want to start using Webex, a market leading application for meetings and hosting, you can start or schedule those meetings through Outlook. It also brings through your out of office status within your calendar integration again. So for those users who are out and about all those time, those road warriors, you can make sure that the colleagues and your staff are aware of what they're doing at what time. We can also access the Outlook contacts. So if you are saving your personal contacts within Outlook itself, we can bring that information through automatically when you pair your calendar and pair your Microsoft credentials. So being able to see who is calling before you pick up the call, it will reference your Outlook integration, your Outlook contacts, and I can see Richard is calling me. Hi, Richard, how are you doing today? And we also then drive click to dial. Now, click to dial is a standard feature across all levels of Webex. Not only can you use that within Outlook and click on someone's number within an email and instigate a call, you could do that on web pages as well. So improve that productivity, stop you from misdialing numbers, a great little feature across all license levels of Webex. Now, what Webex also comes at every single level is Teams integration. You might already be thinking, hey, Ollie, I use my meetings and messaging in Teams. Not a problem. Let's work together. Let's embed Cisco Webex into Teams and use the calling functionality from that application. Now, that needs to be instigated by the team at start, so you'll need to get Richard and the team there to turn that on. There's no cost associated to that either, so they can enable that, and you can then start working with your calling capabilities with no additional Microsoft costs within Teams itself. Now, you still need to run the Webex client. You still need to have that downloaded, but fundamentally, it will pop the windows out which are required at the right time. The biggest capability here and the best thing, and personally I use this because within Gamma, we are a multi-application workforce. Some people use Teams, some people use Webex. The biggest thing and the benefit for me is what we call bi-directional presence sync. So when colleagues of mine are making calls on Teams or doing meetings on Teams, even though I'm working from Webex, I still see that. I can still move calls throughout the business effectively, knowing what my colleagues are up to. So a great little feature, if not the best out of all that capability itself. So like I say, if you're working from Teams and working from Webex, but you want them to work together, reach out to Richard and the team about how you can enable that within your environment itself. Hot topic at the moment, right? AI. Not in the form of the Terminator taking over the world, but actually tools which can help you on your day-to-day work. Work with you, not work instead of you. Now, all levels of Webex benefit from AI. Now, that comes in as smart audio, so AI noise cancellation. Now, this image that you see on your screen was generated by AI. I asked it to summarize a busy office environment or home workers where a lot of background noise happens. Kids are screaming when you're working from home, dogs are barking, you're in a busy office environment where everyone's on the phone at the same time. Now, as standard, Webex comes with smart audio where it can pretty much minimize and remove all of that background noise so that your customers that are calling in can hear you crystal clear. Now, there are different options. This is turned on as standard, so you don't need to go in and turn this on, but there are different options. You can remove the background noise. You can optimize for your own voice. Or if you're all huddling around a laptop and in a meeting with an external party, you can optimize for all voices where it pick out people's different voices, and those people you're having meetings for will again be able to have you hear you crystal clear. Now, these settings can be changed on the Webex app itself under the settings tab and under audio, and you'll start to see different options and having to play with those. But like I say, test it. It is great, the noise cancellation without the need of expensive top-end noise cancelling headsets itself. What Webex also has, for your knowledge, built in is external noise cancellation. So as standard, again, there are options which you can change while on a call, which you'll see on the calling tab here. But what this gives the ability to do is Webex upscales the audio from the calling in. So it's what we call from narrowband to wideband. So it makes the calling in party sound clearer. And it can also remove that background noise for the calling party. So not only can they hear you crystal clear, but you will also be able to hear them with HD definition, meaning if they're calling from a busy roadside, busy street, whatever it might be, a busy office themselves, it will look at removing that background noise. Again, great capabilities inbuilt. You can play around with those settings on the application to see what works best for you and your environment itself, but included at every single license level. Now, another inclusive feature and something that might benefit all of you is something called Call Doc. I'm going to play a video now. Myself, a little voiceover will show you how that works. So Call Doc is a great little feature that is built in at every single license level of Webex. Now, this can be found under the settings tab, under calling. I've got Call Doc, and then I can turn this on. And basically what this does is give me a little floating calling widget. This little widget, I can move around and I can dock on my screen. I also have the capability to fully dock it, so I can't move it around on there. But basically for the likes of inbound calls and outbound calling, if I'm using other applications, loads of windows open, I then have that functionality to answer these calls via that calling tab. I can put calls on mute, I can put them on hold. I have the capability to transfer these calls through the business as well. So for instance, I need to move this call to my colleague Liam. I can search his name, and then it gives me that capability to then move those calls around the business. And that's the same with outbound calls. I can make those calls from the little dock itself, and then I have the capability to, like I say, minimize that real estate itself. Now, caveat that with, this is a calling feature only. So if you are having video internal calls, it will not instigate that video. You need to close the calling dock down. Same with messaging. If you want to make messaging capabilities, that will be within the main application itself. Great little feature, calling dock, like I say, within the settings tab itself. Thank you. Super stuff. So as mentioned, great little feature there, included at every single license level on Webex. I use that myself as I've got multi-screen applications open. Use it for calling, nice and simple, nice and easy, turned on within the settings there. Now, next we move to is more features. So moving away the inclusive features, we can then look at collaboration. Now, collaboration is messaging, is that meetings, is file sharing, and we introduced that with Webex Basic. Now, messaging can be a great capability, and like I say, you might already be utilizing the likes of Teams for this. Actually bringing it into a single pane of glass can be so much more effective for your productivity. Now, what I'm going to do, transfer over to another video where it's going to show you some of the messaging capabilities within Webex. So Webex Basic and above comes with market-leading collaboration tools and chat capabilities. So like I've got here with my messaging, I have the capability to have direct conversations like I'm having with Richard or colleagues within the business. Now, the difference there is with it in the internal business capabilities, I can see users' presence. Are they out of office? Are they available? Are they active? So again, I know if I'm going to get a response straight away, or people might be traveling. And the same with, setting my own status, so people know if I'm active, if I'm out the office, what I'm up to on that day, and again, knowing if I'm going to be contactable or not. Webex also gives you the capability to have group chats, or as we call them on here, spaces. Now, these can be internal spaces with, collaborating on a project itself. They can be external spaces. So other users that are using Webex, you can actually invite them in to start collaborating on projects and conversations itself within the application. So, for instance, our demo chat here, I've got all of the conversation history, and I can go in and I can start creating threads. So Steve here, who said good morning, I have the ability to say good morning, Steve, within that, and start to generate conversational thread rather than it going here, there, and everywhere within the conversation and moving around. I can react to those conversations with emojis. I've also got the ability to set reminders. So for instance, say a colleague says to me, hey, Ollie, can you book a room for tomorrow for a meeting that we've got on? I'm just about to go into a meeting myself, and I will forget to book that. So I can set up a little reminder to remind me of that message to action it in an hour's time. So a really useful bit of feature function there. We can forward messages on, and then we've got other capabilities to translate messages, pin messages. So we could have a project that we want to pin to the top of the banner. It could be a link to a certain area, etc. So it then gives that capability for us to research and to activate that bit of information at a later date. So nice little capabilities within the messaging functionality itself there. I've got the functionality to share files. I can have GIFs, emojis, all within the application itself, and start to, again, directly engage with my colleagues and peers. I can see who is within that chat. So are they external colleagues? Are they internal colleagues or external contacts that we might have added in? And again, it would give me those warnings in case we are sharing the likes of sensitive data. If any content has been shared within those teams, we can access that content. We can create whiteboards. So whiteboards are open spaces that we can start to brainstorm on information rather than just sharing smiley faces. It could be brainstorming on collaboration projects that we're working with, and any external links as well. Anything, we need to start to reference for those conversations. So it can be that group area that we can work together. And like I say, rather than coexisting online, let's collaborate together. We can schedule meetings through here as well, and that will be anyone within the actual space itself will be included automatically. We can look and it will automatically check everyone's availability to see if everyone is available. We then have that capability to schedule it and do reoccurring through the actual internal space itself. We can do instant meeting capabilities. So in the top right hand corner there, if I hit the meet button, it will then send out a call to everyone to join an instant meeting within the Webex application. I've got meeting recap capabilities as well. So if we are holding meetings and we're recording those, from sort of like our higher levels of licensing, and we're using AI with those higher levels of licensing, which we'll touch on in a bit, I can then access that all via the application itself. So lots of great features. All of these features are available on desktop, mobile and tablet. Really good capabilities for you guys to leverage. Now, appreciate you might be utilizing meetings and messaging functionality within Teams, but why not bring it into one single application, one single pane of glass that you'll work from with that presence capabilities, really streamlining that communications capabilities, but also helping with that productivity itself. Cool, great stuff. So that's around messaging. Also with Webex Basic, we get that meetings capability. So as I highlighted in that video, that can all be done within a single space. You can instigate those meetings within the meetings tab on the left-hand side. So if you are using Webex Basic, you can benefit from these features now. Those meetings then can be started or scheduled through the application, or if you are using that Microsoft Outlook integration itself, you can instigate those meetings through Outlook. Now, different options there. It syncs with your calendar. It brings through all of your kind of additional meetings. You might have Teams meetings as well, where other people are hosting. It lets you know that they're Teams ones, and it will automatically pop Teams for you as well. So again, those two applications working and running together. While you're in meetings, some great capabilities. You've got the ability to mute, you've got video functionality of virtual backgrounds and highlighting and better lighting on you. You can mirror, you can upscale your resolution. You've also got the ability, we can see here, to raise hand, and we've got the ability to add emojis and reactions to what people are highlighting. Now, we do have two other buttons down there, AI Assistant and Record. They are on the higher level licenses, and I'll touch on the AI functionality in meetings in a second. But from a basics perspective, sharing your screen, chatting to your colleagues, sharing those kind of reactions, raising your hand is all standard features. You do also then have additional capabilities, so things like breakout rooms. You've got whiteboard functionality and additional kind of statistics to look at utilization. And one of the great capabilities and kind of hidden features of Webex is computer utilization. Now, Webex barely uses any resource on a computer compared to the likes of Teams, which it sounds like your laptop, your computer might take off sometimes when you're sharing your screen. Webex really doesn't need that resource to run. So again, for utilization within your business there, it can be a really great little feature to help optimize your hardware features as well.
Ollie, that's interesting you mentioned that, because that's something that I personally have experienced firsthand. Loading and running Microsoft Teams on my high-end laptop, sharing video, doing a screen share, and running stuff in the background, it just completely locks up my laptop every time. But since we as an organization switched to Webex for all of our internal and external meetings a year or so ago, I no longer have that problem. So I think that is a massive benefit of using the Webex service in comparison to other meeting services.
Completely agree, and great thing, really, great poignant point there, Richard. You can look at utilization as well. It does a health check. It gives you a bar on the top of the meeting to show you utilization and see kind of any issues with kind of that call quality, that video quality. So yeah, as Richard said, they've adopted it internally. They've not only seen productivity increases, but the hardware increases. And definitely recommend yourselves, if you're using Webex Basic already, give it a go. If you want to look at trying it out, then obviously speak to Richard. There's see what options there are to look at moving up to Webex Basic to move your meetings and messaging in, and to benefit from those features that he's mentioned there. And then we talk about kind of moving and going to different license types. The next one that we got up from Webex Basic, you get all of the other features, but with Webex Standard, you get a ton of meetings AI capabilities with Cisco's AI assistant. You get smart audio still in there, which obviously using AI, but you get real-time transcription of those conversations you're having. There also is translation in there as well. So if you are having conversations with people of different dialects, different languages, it can actually translate those transcriptions for you. We've got gesture recognition, a bit of a kind of more of a commodity in there where you can put heart signs up and your thumbs up and it'll recognize it for you. But a nice little feature in there. But the two I kind of want to highlight in a bit more detail is meeting notes and action items. So when we are in meetings, we're concentrating on what people are saying. We're writing down notes. When we write down those notes, speaking for myself, I lose concentration on what someone is saying. So why not let the AI assistant do that for you? So within Webex Standard, you can have a conversation, you can engage with each other, you can talk to each other and listen to what people are saying, and that could be group conversations, one-to-one conversations. Now, what the Webex AI assistant will do is transcribe that. You can reference the transcription, you can download it, you can forward that on. But what you also get the capability to do is it will take notes for you. So that conversation that you have, it will take all of those notes. It will also have any action items. You don't need to say, Webex action item here. It will reference the tone, it will reference the language instantaneously within the meeting, and once you finish that meeting, it will write it all up for you. And it's such a great tool for you to use to, just like I say, save on write-up time, save on taking up those notes. If you're using the mobile app, you could join an instant meeting on your phone, put it on the desk, and when you're having that conversation with someone, it will then do that as well for you in those face-to-face meetings, which you can then reference on your computer app when you get back. So a great little feature to boost that productivity, and Richard is going to explain how him and the team have benefited from that themselves.
Yeah, for me, Ollie, I think this is a game changer out of all the features you've sort of shown within Webex so far, because you know what it's like. After every single online meeting you hold, you always have to send a follow-up with the meeting action points to the client or to whoever you're talking to. And that's just a given, right? And that might take you 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It might take you half an hour to type all of those meeting follow-up points. You no longer need to do that. And a good example was from a couple of weeks ago when I hosted a meeting for a client. And at the end, they said, are you going to share with us the next steps of what we need to do to move forwards? And I said, yes, of course. One click, there you go. You've got all the action points that we've just discussed in the last 2-hour meeting. So it saves you so much time. And you're right, it allows you to focus on the actual meeting you're having in hand rather than taking notes, rather than thinking about typing that stuff up afterwards. So I think it saves you time and it just makes you more productive.
I think it's finding that critical information as well. I think exactly how you've been using it, I use it on a day-to-day basis. All of my meetings are on Webex, follow up on those notes, but also searching for information. Historically, I used a notepad and a pen. Nothing beats traditional technology, but the amount of times I've misplaced that notepad and then I have no clue what my notes are. I completely forgotten what it is because I've held additional meetings, or maybe I need to reference that information at a later date, but I can't remember what page or what book it was in. Maybe some people on this call are far more effective in me in managing that, but fundamentally we do that day in, day out. We lose those bits of paper. So absolutely having it referenced in an application, stored in there, which you can then share, is by all means kind of the kind of way to go with that kind of productivity gains that you'll get with the solution. Now, next feature on Webex Standard is something called Step Away. Now, Step Away is a neat little capability built in which you can set up automatically. Life happens. We are working from home. Delivery driver turns up at the door and you need to move out of that meeting. You're having that conversation with your team about a new project and the door goes. Rather than them hearing me pant down the stairs, talk to the delivery driver, the Webex solution itself will automatically recognize I've moved away, mute me and turn my camera off. Now, when I come back to that meeting, it will say, catch me up. So I can then ask the AI assistant to catch me up. What was said while I was gone? Was my name mentioned? Are there any action items? So in this dispersed world, where we are working from the office, we are working from home, we can still be engaged in meetings, we can still contribute, and we can still then take those action items from that meeting and act on those. A great little feature that is included again at Webex Standard. You can manually turn it on. You can have it automatic that it will recognize when you have stepped away. But again, a nice little productivity gain for you if you are holding a lot of those online meetings with teams collaborating on projects. So from Webex Standard, we then move up to Webex Premium, where not only do we add meetings, summaries and chapters, so we can start to add certain stuff into the videos where we segmentize those videos if you're having long meetings into certain chapters that you can search. But we also then get messaging AI. That messaging AI comes with space summarization and the ability to rewrite messages. So with space summarization, that's chats, that's group chats. Now, you could be chatting individually to someone and you want to understand what the action items and what are the key points. Or it could also be a group chat, a project that you're collaborating on. Now, recently I was off for a week and I came back and my team chat of my team within here at Gamma had around 400 or 500 messages. I don't have the time to read through all of that. I want to understand what's going on while I was away and catch me up. So again, I can ask the AI assistant to do that within my messaging. It will then give me a precise summary of that conversation in 1, 2, 3, 4 sentences, which I can then read through and then act upon accordingly, because then I can search the chat for keywords or for key conversations that have gone in. Again, productivity games, saving me time, having to go through and read through everything itself. The other one is message rewrite. This is a great way for management to converse with their colleagues and their staff, or fundamentally the staff to make sure they're conversing with their management in the right way. So for instance, I'm here having a conversation with my team. Hi team, why was the project not in on time? It's not good enough. Now, that might come across in the wrong context, in the wrong way. So what I can do, I can ask Webex's AI assistant to check that message. It then here says, your message is informal and critical. So I can then ask it to improve, fix any mistakes, make it longer, and I want it more of a casual and cheerful tone. So it's rewritten that for me. Hey team, I was wondering why the project wasn't submitted on time. It's not quite up to par, added a couple of goofy emojis in there as well. So it just means that we're coming across in the right language. Now, some of you might be using Copilot, you might be using those kind of features elsewhere. Why would I want to use this in the application? Because it's included in that license level. It's not an additional cost that you're having to go to Microsoft for, when actually when you pair it with your voice calling, with your meetings, with your messaging in a single application, it's far more streamlined and actually can be far more cost effective for you and the business itself. Great little features again in Webex Premium, that messaging AI. So with AI adoption, just want to highlight before we wrap up, we can go to QA. It gives you that ability to manage the surplus of information. It helps you with that meeting overload and stops with the product loss. We did a survey with Cisco of 1,000 Webex users. 85% of people felt more focused because they could engage in their meetings. They were having more effective meetings, with 81% saying so, because they weren't having to take those notes. And fundamentally, within those businesses, they were saving around 5 hours per week on that note taking and finding that critical information. So again, using the AI tools, using the applications that you guys have a chat with Rich and the team about how you can upgrade to the different levels, can really benefit you not only on a singular level, but as a business to engage more effectively internally, but also with your external clients itself. So be more effective, be more productive, and be more competitive in your day-to-day working. That does it for me in regards to presentation and going through some of the applications. We're going to throw it out to Q&A. There should be a little box on your dashboard that you can chuck in any questions. We can answer those now. Richard, I don't know if we've had anything in as we've gone through.
Yeah, there's a couple that have come through whilst we've been talking, Ollie. The first one is from David, and David says, I have Webex for my office phone, but use Teams for meetings. Should I use Webex for meetings instead of Teams?
Did you want me to take that one, or did you want to take that
Yeah,
one?
you can take that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So, great question. So, I would definitely say, in my personal opinion, and obviously it's probably something I say, I prefer working from Webex. It's far more streamlined, it's far more effective, it's a cleaner application, finding things are easier. As Richard highlighted, computer usage and utilization is down, so my machine runs quicker, I can share applications quicker. I would definitely strongly recommend at least trying it from a business side of things, and the cost way of obviously utilizing Microsoft and additional costs from a Microsoft side of things, bringing it over to a single pane of glass is definitely worth investigating, looking into. But fundamentally, if it doesn't work for you, there is that capability to integrate the two together and work for teams. What works for you as a business, but from a use case perspective of day-to-day usage, collaborating with a wide range of partners and colleagues internally, we've got almost 1,800 employees here at Gamma. Personally, from a use case perspective, I prefer the Webex client itself.
Thank you, Ollie. We've got another question here from James that I can answer. How do I upgrade from Webex Standard to Webex Premium? Just get in touch with us, James. So either speak to your account manager or give us a ring or drop us an email. We need to assign you the premium license to your user or users. It's really quick and easy to do, pretty painless, and that will unlock the extra features then within Webex Premium. Okay, I've got another question here from Aaron. Aaron says, can I use Webex on more than one device at any one time?
Yeah, good question, Aaron, and something that comes up quite a lot. Absolutely, yes. So you can be logged into your computer, your desktop, whether it's a Mac or a PC. You can be logged into your mobile and you can be logged into your tablet device. All simultaneously, all messages will come through to those devices, all the calling will come through to those devices, and you can then choose which of those devices you want to instigate that call or instigate that message. You could also even have a desk phone, that will ring at the same time. One thing that I didn't mention on here, which reach out to Rich and the team to show you how, but you can control your physical desk phone through Webex as well, transferring of calls. So if you still want to use a physical phone, you like having a physical phone rather than a headset, then that can be controlled via the Webex client. So all devices logged in at the same time and controlling of your physical device. Thank you for your question.
Thanks, Ollie. And Emily said, how do I turn on the Teams integration?
So that needs to be initially instigated from Richard and the team at Start Communications. They need to enable that. Once they have enabled that and let you know, you will download an app into Teams. So on the Teams application itself, you go to the App Store and search for something called Cisco Call. Once you've installed Cisco Call and logged in using your Webex username and password, it is there ready and running within Teams itself. You can make and take calls, you can transfer, you've got that presence between the two applications. So pretty simple step-by-step installation, but like I say, you need to initially ask Rich and the team to turn it on, because otherwise it won't work within there. It is an enablement, but there is no cost associated to that. There's no Microsoft cost, there's no cost from a Webex side of things. It is included at all license levels.
Excellent. Thank you, Ollie. That's all the questions for now. If anyone does have any further questions after the call, our contact details are here if you haven't got them already. So use info@startcomms.co.uk to email us, or of course you can give us a call on the main number or speak to your account manager. Ollie, thank you for giving us a run through of some of those basic and more advanced features on Webex. It's been really informative, really, really good. And thank you for everyone else joining the call as well. I hope you found it beneficial. Please feel free to get in touch if we can help you further.